mother always told me to look for someone in uniform if I was ever to get lost. She taught me that someone in a uniform is there to protect me. My parents even sent my brother and me to police summer camp when we were little. We learned all about the police officers' jobs and even got to know everybody on the force. We looked up to the officers as our protectors, our heroes. Many children of color receive different advice from their parents. Many of you may remember Osa Omoregi's speech last year. He was talking about how his mother used to warn him about the police. She told him to avoid the police, but if he had to interact with them, to always be exceedingly respectful and cautious. He was also told to keep his hands in sight at all times around police officers, so they wouldn't mistakenly think he had a weapon. Our mothers, just two women whose main concern is the safety of their sons, had directly conflicting advice. It never would have occurred to me that anyone would be afraid of the police, the men and women sworn to protect. I was thinking about Osa's speech while hearing the range of reactions people had when Ferguson and Staten Island police officers were not indicted after killing unarmed civilians. I was puzzled by how the same people could be feared by one family, but provide a sense of safety for another. This made me realize that our backgrounds and experiences often dictate our opinions and beliefs. We live in a bubble of harmony and similarity. We are sheltered by the comfort of concurrence. On the outside of this bubble are opposing opinions and conflict. It is so easy to stay inside this bubble and have everyone agree, but it is not until we leave the safety that we can understand, learn, and hopefully teach. As backgrounds differ, so often will our beliefs. We at Pingry are very lucky. Most of us have never had to endure war, hunger, or poverty. As soon as issues such as the Ferguson and Staten Island cases captured our nation's attention, our relative privilege and safety interferes with our ability to understand. While my family and I do understand and realize that we are privileged, we still benefit from those privileges we have. These privileges may hamper our ability to understand, why didn't this person finish high school? Or why doesn't she have a job? Or why is he homeless? These questions simply aren't asked in our bubble, but we should be asking them. We should inquire and seek to change and ultimately work towards eliminating the bubble. But how can we get rid of this bubble that is our shelter? How can we understand something that is not part of our lives? At a Columbia University forum about the Eric Garner and Michael Brown cases, a young black woman named Ariel spoke powerfully. She asked, "Do you know what it feels like to be a menace to the very society you shaped? Do you know what it feels like to watch human beings who look like you get gunned down in the street every day and listen to everyone tell you no crime was committed? Do you know what it feels like for your very existence to be a source of discomfort for many?" And instead of cringing when she asked those questions, instead of saying no, we need to answer, "No, please tell us what it feels like," because to me, these questions seem like rhetorical hyperbole, but to her, they describe reality. When she answers us, we need to reflect on what she said and embrace the challenge it poses to the assumptions we have always made. At first blush, Ariel's questions may seem exaggerated. Comprehending will be difficult, and empathizing even more so. Agreement will not be sudden, for it's a process. We cannot expect to understand right away. We must embrace this process, though it may be difficult, confrontational, and yes, a little awkward. The first step of this sometimes arduous process is to learn to listen, not just hear. By listening, we will open up our minds and our hearts and learn to feel. Because although whatever issue at hand may affect two parties differently, we owe each other enough respect to listen carefully. Next, we need to acknowledge our differences. We need to recognize that everyone has their own bubble, their own comfort. The reason we may have a disagreement is because our experiences and backgrounds dictate our opinions. Not everyone's experiences are the same, thus, our opinions will not be the same. By acknowledging the validity of others' experiences, we allow ourselves to understand their view and not judge them. Communication without judgment is essential to a successful, effective conversation. Once we can converse without judging, we can integrate what we have learned with our own experiences. Using this approach will allow us to reach opinions that better reflect the diversity of our society. As we expand the conversation, we press against the boundaries of our bubble until, hopefully, one day all of our bubbles will burst. Thank you.